In this movie, I'll show you how to wrap text around an actual graphic, specifically our Tin Woodman. So if you're working along with me, go ahead and switch over to this document that contains both of the characters, and notice that they're relegated to independent layers here inside the Layers panel. What we want to do is select everything on the Tin Man layer, and you do that by clicking on that layer to make it active. And then notice this triangle in the upper right corner of the layer. Just go ahead and click on it, and that will select everything on that layer like so. Now go up to the Edit menu and choose the Copy command, or you can press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac. All right, now I'll go ahead and switch over to my document in progress, and I'll zoom out by pressing Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac. Now, in the name of reducing as much complexity as possible, because this is already a pretty challenging project, we want to go ahead and paste the Tin Man on his own layer. And you do that by going to the Layers panel once again, clicking on the flyout menu icon in the upper right corner, and then choosing Paste from Members Layers to turn that command on. Then go up to the Edit menu and just choose the plain old Paste command, or you can press Control-V or Command-V on the Mac. And that will paste the Tin Man on his own Tin Man layer, as we're seeing here inside the Layers panel. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and drag this guy so that the top of his head more or less aligns with this second horizontal guideline, and we're aligning his funnel cap to the right edge of the margin guide. And that might be a little too far to the right, so I'll just press the left arrow key to nudge him a little bit to the left. All right, now I'm going to drag this layer below the text layer, and I'm going to lock it as well so that we don't end up modifying any of his many parts. All right, now what you might think is that we go ahead and assign the text wrap command that we saw in the previous movie directly to the Tin Man. But first of all, he'd have to be on the same layer as the text, which would be a nightmare. And secondly, the text would start wrapping inside of his legs and under his arm, so we'd end up with some problems. We want a much simpler solution, and here's how we're going to pull it off. Go ahead and click on the text layer to make it active, and then once again grab the rectangle tool, and just go ahead and draw a rectangle around that third column like so. Now, we don't want a fill or a stroke, so go up to the Control panel and change the fill to none, and then click on the second swatch, the one that represents the stroke, and change it to none as well. All right, now with the rectangle selected, go to the Object menu, choose Text Wrap, and choose Make. And that's all there is to it. That just goes ahead and wraps the text around that third column so it drops to the next dartboard. All right, now we need to draw some sort of shape around his arm. And the easiest tool for this purpose is located directly below the rectangle tool. You click and hold on the paintbrush, and you choose the strangely named Blob Brush tool. Now what you want to do is press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac to bring up the Blob Brush tool options, and just change the size value to 50 points. You don't have to do anything else, and then click OK. All right, now I want to deselect that rectangle by going to the Select menu and choosing the Deselect command, or you can press that keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-A or Command-Shift-A on the Mac. And I'm now going to change the fill color to, let's say, RGB red, just so we can really see what we're doing. And now I'm going to begin painting inside of this guy's hand. So you want to start by painting around his hand like so, and then paint up his arm all the way to his shoulder, and then come down his hip, basically to his knee. And then I want you to come back over and then up like so to make this kind of blobby shape right here. And then make sure that you paint the interior as well as you can, just so that you're filling as much with red as possible. In other words, you don't want to be seeing any cracks. And then just go ahead and release in order to create that blobby shape. All right, now press the V key to switch back to the black arrow tool and click on that path outline to select it. And if you end up seeing the word Group over here on the far left side of the Control panel, then go up to the Object menu and choose the Ungroup command, at which point you'll probably see mixed objects. Just go ahead and shift-click on the outline of the path to deselect it, and you should see that a few things remain selected, at which point just go ahead and press the backspace key or the delete key on the Mac to get rid of those little extras. Now click on the shape again, and this time it should either read Path or Compound Path, which is just fine. All right, now what you want to do is go up to the Object menu, choose Text Wrap, and choose Make. And that will create a text wrap around this shape, at which point you want to return to the Object menu, choose Text Wrap, and choose Text Wrap Options. And then go ahead and turn on the Preview checkbox so you can see what you're doing. and increase that offset value by pressing the up arrow key. So just click in a value and press up arrow until you get a good looking wrap. Until, in other words, the text looks good, which happens for me at an offset value of 10 points, at which point I'll go ahead and click the OK button in order to accept that change. And now I'll click on this first swatch up here in the control panel and change it to none so that we're not actually seeing that red blob. And now I'll click off the path outline to deselect it. All right, now the spacing of the text could potentially be a little better. And to make it so, we just have to apply a couple of changes. So just go ahead and double-click anywhere inside the body copy to automatically switch to the Type tool and position the blinking insertion marker. Then press Control-A or Command-A on the Mac to select all the text across the 3 threaded text frames. And then what I want you to do is click the word paragraph up here in the control panel. And we're going to make 2 changes, both of which are available from the flyout menu. So click the flyout menu icon in the upper right corner of the paragraph panel, and then choose the hyphenation command. And notice that hyphenation isn't even turned on at this point. So go ahead and turn on that checkbox. I want a words longer than value of 4 letters. That way, even short words will get hyphenated. And we want better spacing as opposed to fewer hyphens. So go ahead and move that slider triangle a couple of tick marks over to the left. And now turn on the preview checkbox, and you should see a little bit of hyphenation occurring on screen. For example, I've been groaning has now been hyphenated, and with a little cry of surprise is hyphenated as well. At which point, go ahead and click the OK button in order to apply that change. Now, this one's a little technical, but you want to click on that flyout menu icon again, and you want to switch from Adobe Single Line Composer that looks at one line at a time when figuring out how to space the justified paragraphs, and you want to switch to Adobe Every Line Composer, which looks at the entire story as it's figuring out the spacing of any single justified line. And that is going to give you some much better spacing as we're seeing right here. At which point you can go ahead and press the Escape key in order to hide the paragraph panel, and then press the Escape key again to exit the text editing mode, and then just click off of your text to deselect it. And that's how you wrap text around a graphic, as well as achieve the best possible character spacing by turning on hyphenation, that's very important, as well as switching to the Every Line Composer here inside Illustrator.